Greetings. I wish to share information on founding a mystical fellowship of essentially networking with souls of light. And this information is going to be relevant, I believe, because there's some very powerful statements within this information that I'm going to read. And I'm going to be reading from a book called Egyptian Mystics, Seekers of the Way. It's by Mustafa Gadala. And this is the book right here. And again, this is regarding fellowship formations. And the subheading, this chapter is just chapter 12 in this book, Seekers, Egyptian Mystics, Seekers of the Way. And this is information regarding fellowship formations from chapter 12. And the first chapter subheading is the universality of Egyptian mysticism. And as the astute viewer of this video, please pay particular attention. There are some very powerful statements in regards to within the context of religious fundamentalism, which I believe is the bane of this world. It is the greatest evil on so many levels within this world. Throughout this book, it has been shown that the Egyptian model of mysticism, now known as Sufism, is not attached to or is an offshoot of Islam. It has nothing to do with Islam. Now pay attention. The natural principles and practices of the Egyptian model are as common in the West as in the East. A mystical seeker is anyone who believes that it is possible to have direct experience of God, a personal and intimate connection to Source, bereft of any middle person. A mystical seeker is anyone who believes that it is possible to have direct experience of God. The Egyptian model of mysticism is a natural expression of personal religion. The seeker has the right to pursue a life of contemplation, seeking contact with the source of being and reality. The mystical seekers pursue knowledge of the reality, truth of God that cannot be gained through dogmatic religions. Technically speaking, one does not have to be a born or converted Muslim to adopt and practice this model of mysticism. However, it is true that being a born or converted Muslim is a prerequisite to joining a Sufi fellowship in a presently Islamicized country, a country dominated by fundamental religion, Islam. Such a requirement is caused by fear of the wrath of Islamists in these countries and nothing more. As a matter of fact, these mystical principles and practices are contrary to Islam, as explained throughout this book. In addition to the common misconception that Sufism is an offshoot of Islam, there is a general tendency to lump very different types of mysticism, known as Sufism, into one category, erroneously labeled mystics of Islam. Egyptian mystical teachings, Sufism, and practices are markedly different than those of Sufis in other countries, as is contrasted throughout this book. And then subheading chapter 12:2, the countless ways, the Egyptian model of mysticism, which is known as Sufism, is not a matter of creed and dogma, but rather of a personal charter. Each one of us is a unique individual. The ancient Egyptians presented their beliefs in the individuality of each of us in all their texts. For example, there were never two identical transformational or funerary or medical, so-called magical texts for any two individuals. There is no one-size-fits-all dogmatic doctrine. The Egyptian model recognizes the uniqueness of each individual and as such recognizes that the paths to God are as numerous as the number of seekers. The ways to God are like the streams. They all go to one source. All Egyptian thinking is based on this principle, variations on a theme. Anyway, this book is very this chapter goes on, but the principles of a fellowship, of founding a mystical fellowship, And I'll touch more on this in future videos, but a link to a spiritual chain, there has to be a concrete and verifiable and observable link to a spiritual chain. A systematic organization consisting of members at various stages of development and progression, a code of ethics, modes and programs to attain fellowship goals, and active role in society. So note to self, for myself, I can't very well expect to manifest this Om Banda New Earth Ashram simply by making videos and saying, yeah, there's Om Banda New Earth Ashram, it exists, yeah, in the fifth dimension in my imagination, but in order for it to be manifested here in Harmonic Universe number 1, dimension 3, I need to do some more work and some more footwork. And being in here in the month of March, in the 3-3 Trinity portal, it is incumbent upon me to manifest, to get down to brass tacks and begin to actually put some third dimensional energy investment in this, and quit just making videos and thinking I'm doing something, which I am, but that's beside the point. But anyway, so the countless ways, the Egyptian model of mysticism, and the realization of a mystical fellowship is I believe that we're all going to have to do this. There's no more being complacent these days, and just sort of getting by with what has been. We must manifest what will be. Namaste, namaskaram.